we can start then, because got everything ready. Are you ready for the question?
Yeah, let's do it.
So also, of course, like usually we do like this as a surprise, like we have like our guests just be shocked at the dumb silly questions that we ask for here, because it's like, oh yeah, we're going to ask about like what's the next thing coming up, what do you think of this thing, and we're just like, yeah, um, what's the silliest thing I can ask this person? But yeah, we start
That's the
with
fun part of these.
yeah, and we start with my personal favorite that I accidentally spoiled the first time I joined your chat. Which languages do you speak?
I just speak English, unfortunately.
Aw.
My mom always spoke Tagalog and Visayan in the house, but you know, she's so funny. She was stubborn. She said, "I'm moving to America so I can have American kids, and they're gonna speak English." And now looking back, I'm like, "Mother, do you understand how difficult that is when my father lives out of state? Sorry, when he works out of state, and it's just you and me." You know, learning how to become fluent in English by watching Sesame Street DVDs. Like, do you know how hard it is to not teach me another language? But you know, she managed to not teach me Tagalog or Bisaya. She really focused on that. I managed to understand like a good amount of Tagalog. I can't speak it very well at all. My brain tries to translate in my head, and then you know that never really works out very well when you're speaking multiple languages. The whole translation thing, it just takes forever. If I'm writing it, I have a little bit more luck. But if I'm reading it, you know, it's I can get the gist of what's going on, but fluently just English.
Mhm. No, I feel you. I speak 4 languages and I suck at all 4 of them.
Whew. Oh my gosh, stop. No,
Every-
that is 4 more than most Americans can speak, and I mean that 4 more.
Yeah.
Most
No,
of us
it's
can barely speak our own language.
no, it's funny too when like my friends that only like speak one language like are like on a stream and they just go like I'm talking about something, they just correct me on the word and they just say, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done it. Just like no, it's fine. But yeah, fun. One day I'll get a voice actor to speak another language. I swear, I promise. It's my goal.
I can understand a lot of Spanish. I took Spanish for a long time in high school, and I retained a lot of it. I took between middle school and high school, I took like 5 years of Spanish. So if I'm reading it, I can understand like 80% of what's going on. I can understand a lot when someone's speaking to me, as long as, you know, the accent isn't too thick. My father-in-law is from the Dominican Republic. I can't understand anything he says in Spanish. His accent is so thick. But I also know just the what is it called? The dialect, not dialect, I guess. You know how different like the regional Spanish that they speak in the DR is different than what they speak in like Mexico or Spain or like, you know, like Uruguay for example. So I can't understand him when he speaks, but like, you know, when like my teachers were mostly Puerto Rican and like Spain Spanish, so when they speak Spanish, I'm like, okay, you know, as long as you're not, you know, spitfiring at me, I understand mostly of what's going on.
Oh, qué bueno, qué bueno. Se aprecia.
Yeah.
No, it's fine, it's fine. For the second question, what was your first role and how did you feel about it?
The first thing I ever booked, I'm gonna go with my first paid role. I started doing indie voice acting in late 2020. My first paid role was for a mod for World of Warships. That the person who booked me on that I still talk to this day, and I give a lot of thanks to him for trusting me in such a large role. It was very daunting. It was like 450 lines over the course of like 2 months. Like looking back now, like 2 months for 450 lines, like that is plenty of time. Some projects expect that over the course of like, you know, 2 4-hour sessions, 2 or 3 4-hour sessions. So that, you know, looking back, I wish I could tell myself, you know, like, hey, like, it only gets worse from here, you know? But it was a lot of fun. I loved doing it. I really appreciated how much trust he put into me. I can't remember what the status of the mod is now. I mean, it's definitely still up. I just don't know how much he's still, you know, putting into it. But I know he was really dedicated to it, and I loved seeing the passion that he had for it, so that really just drove my passion to continue working on it. So all in all, it was a great experience, and it really kind of showed me what a potential career could look like in this if I continued to pursue it, which, you know, was one of the catalysts to get me to continue along the path I was starting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's interesting. Just like starting out as a mod, and now you're already so like far in with like iconic characters. Like it just like surprises me. So it's like, oh yeah, I started in 2020. It's just like, oh yeah, that's like very like, yeah, it's very recent. And I was like, oh yeah, we're kind of the same age, huh?
I'm very grateful. I started with a handful of other, you know, they call us like pandemic actors, people who just kind of came up during the pandemic as a hobby, and then, you know, it's a lot of right place, right time, meeting the right people, you know, taking the career seriously enough, you know, taking private lessons and classes and workshops and meeting people and, you know, doing all the things that you should be doing when you want to pursue it as a career. It's like doing the research and reaching out to mentors and learning more about what people do in this industry when they work in it professionally. And that, you know, eventually led to lots of opportunities of people pulling the ladder up for me. So I take every opportunity I can to pull the ladder up for others as well, just because the community was so kind to me for doing that, especially not living in Los Angeles or, you know, Dallas, where or New York, where most of the magic happens. So it was a grind. It really was. But, you know, there are the little more than a handful of us who are beat all the odds somehow, and we're making it work.
Yeah. Nice. It's generally like also just fun, like meeting up with the pandemic actors, as you say. It's just like it's nice to be with like people who are like fans alongside you, and suddenly it's just like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I know how to look up at you. It's like, which is cool.
No. Oh, I appreciate that. We're just guys. We're here. We, you know, monetized a hobby, and now we're bound to working it forever. But we love it.
Yeah, you've been cursed to do the thing you enjoy the most. Good luck.
Exactly. But you know what they always say, if you enjoy what you do, you don't work a day in your life, and I still believe that to be true. So I always look forward to going to work.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Next question. What inspired you to start voice acting besides I guess the pandemic?
Oh, I had to pay my student loans.
Oh, yeah, you got this over there.
Yeah, it's really bad. I originally started it never intended to be I'm gonna make money from doing this. It started as a hobby. This is gonna sound really bad, but I had finished grad school. I was in my early mid-20s, and I was like, I need something to do after I finished grad school, because grad school took up so much of my time. I was also working full-time, so I was full-time school, full-time working, because Americans love to stay busy. You don't know when to rest, especially me. So I was like, I need something to do after work, because now I don't have to go to school. And I was talking to some friends, and I was literally playing, you know, like Genshin Impact on Discord with my friends, and they were like, oh, well, I know this website where you can go and audition for like student projects and comic dubs and other like little fun things. So maybe that's something you can do. And I was mortified because I had never acted before, and I was like, I can't do. I'm not an actor. I can't act. I'm going to embarrass myself. And she was like, oh, shut up and do it. And so I just kind of like, you know, like low key kind of like stalked the website a little bit and threw some auditions in here or there with my little, you know, shitty Apple headphone mic, you know, with the one with the microphone like right here. I was just like kind of in my basement, well, my living room basement with the HVAC roaring, and I'm like auditioning like this, and it sounded awful. And then, you know, it was right around the holidays, so I used my Christmas money to buy a more acceptable microphone setup. So my inspiration really was I need to start paying off my student loans. I have a lot of free time, and I really missed having a creative outlet.
Also, there's some funny irony with you like playing Genshin, and then eventually you just get hired for both Honkai and Zenless.
I'm in Genshin too. I voice a bunch of NPCs. I'm like scattered all throughout like Sumeru and Fontaine, so it was really full circle.
I'm sorry, like the websites, the you know, like usually like say like the roles, they really don't like saying like, oh yeah, there's additional voices.
I'm okay with that. Honestly, there are so many of them. I don't know half of their names, and I would rather it say additional voices anyway. Because if someone's like, "Tell me about voicing so and so," and I'm like, "Who is that? I'm so sorry. I don't know who that is." And they're like, "Oh, it's your Genshin NPC." I'm like, "Oh shit.
Which one?
I'm so sorry. I don't remember their name." You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's additional voices. I don't mind.
Yeah. No, it's fine. But like, what I'm saying is just like they don't like showing. Oh, that it was an additional voice. It's just like, oh, it's not a name character. Well, then I guess she wasn't in that game. So
She's named. They all have names. I just don't know what they are. I'm sure someone has it written down somewhere.
Yeah. The number one faithful helper of get a fan and being like in shambles right now. She doesn't remember my favorite role. I like the delivery on that line.
I think Jiang Li is one of them. The other Jiang Li or Jian Li, I don't remember. I think she and her husband have similar names. She's in like Baiju's story quest near the end. She was like something about poison. I recorded that a long time ago. I don't even remember. I'm so sorry. We don't see the script until we show up, so half the time I'm cold reading anyway, and I have a goldfish memory. So if y'all think I retain anything that ever comes out of my mouth, I have a surprise for you.
That's good. You can't break NDA if you don't remember what you were doing at the time.
Ah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. What's your favorite line you poison? Oh damn it! I forgot my own questions.
I forget all my lines. One that I quote frequently, actually. Alice and I quote this like little back and forth. And I only remember it because the delivery was so funny that the director and our we usually have a client on the hold on, what is it called? A representative from the client side on the call for a lot of directed sessions. So, you know, in this case, there was a MiHoYo representative. I don't know if they were a writer or whatever their particular involvement was, but they were also on the call. But we got to this line, and it's the scene in Zenless, in like the prologue when you're still meeting all the cunning hairs. And long story short, Anby and the crew had just met Nekomata, who is Alice's character. And Nekomata is this little cat girl. She's a little shit, you know. She's kind of getting on Anby's nerves because Anby is just kind of like, why is she all over the place? Stop talking to Nicole. Nicole is my friend. She's my sister. Get off of her. You know, and now she's like, Anby's like really jealous, but you know, Anby's very stoic and monotone, and her emotional variance is like this big. Like, this is Anby when she's angry, and this is Anby when she's normal, and this is Anby when she's sad. So, like, you know, the emotional variance does not exist with this character, really. And that was probably one of the toughest things I've ever had to do. But there's one scene where Nekomata is, I guess, going through someone's stuff, and she's like, "Ooh, whose wallet is this?" And she opens it, and she goes, "There's a picture of Nicole in here!" And then Anby goes, "That's my wallet."
Here's something. Let's see what's in this wallet. Seems expensive.
That's my wallet. You stole it while we were going through the boxes?
And it just totally breaks character because she just gets so worked up and her voice cracks a little bit. And at first I was like, oh, that's too much emotion, isn't it? And then, like, everyone on the call's laughing and they're like, no, that is perfect for this scenario. So, like, the line literally, "That's my wallet," but in that context, it's probably one of my favorite lines ever because the scene is just so funny, and I really like how, you know, the director directed us into it, and I really like how he pulled it up.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about voice acting, but I've noticed that, like, people's like best lines or like the lines that they're proud of, it doesn't matter how good at voice acting you are, especially if you're like you'll say like peak like voice acting performance, it's always when your voice cracks that the line is at its best. There's like you may have like a super serious moment, it's like a stoic character, something happens, it's like, but it's when the stoic character, like whatever is happening, their voice crack and it sells like, oh, it's still human and they still have limits. It's like absolute voice acting cinema, however you can call it. absolute recording.
That's usually when like the actor gets really into it, and you know, it's the combination of depending on the character, it could be a break-in character, or it could just be like you know, the actor is literally in the character's shoes, which ideally that's the situation that we want when we're portraying these characters. Is I want to be in Anby's shoes. I want to be Anby when I'm behind the mic, because I don't want to be Sam Slade who plays Anby. Like the players are playing the game and they're expecting Anby, not me as Anby, right? Does that make sense? So like in those moments where the actor shows through just a little bit, like, oh my gosh, the person portraying this is really going through it right now. Whether it's, you know, in anguish or surprise or, you know, laughter. You know those, whenever you hear a character laugh, but it's the actor laughing instead because what just happened was so genuinely funny. You know, there are some shows in some anime where, like, you hear, you know, a laugh and you're like, oh, ha ha ha, it's a laugh, but the actor sounds like they're dying.
しまって言葉知って酸欠になるほど笑ったんですチンダル現象ってめちゃくちゃ面白いですかチンダル現象
Like they're wheezing and they're like, nah, bro, we're keeping that in. That's the final take right there, dude. Like,
I know
that's
exactly.
When you know it's
I know
good.
exactly the clip you're referencing. I was about to bring it up. I love that clip. It's like the guy just cannot continue his line because he's just laughing. Yeah.
Yep. It's the children's show anime. I can't remember what it's called. It's killing me.
ほんま前
人工運動
チンコ浦上少年さん
Yeah, I don't know. I just remember like the one clip that everyone just shared. It's just like, I love it when like that gives like the most genuine laugh. This is just someone on a Discord call after their friend just saying like the dumbest like thing imaginable, and he's just like cannot take the conversation any more serious. Yes.
Yep. Those are the best moments in my opinion.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
When the actor is like committed, they don't even realize they're committed. They're just in the moment.
But the best part of voice acting was it's when it just stops acting. You're just voicing.
Exactly. That's the idea.
Yes. Ironic. Yeah. What was the process of doing your lines for Baldr like?
Yeah. So I'll kind of break it down between like the audition and when I was actually recording. So my audition, ironically, I have a really hard time with I have a very hard time in establishing very strong female characters. Ironically now, there's a lot of stuff I've been working on, but I've had more opportunities to play those characters more recently. So I'm just kind of like, it's really funny that my two, I guess, like, typecasts are either very soft, whispery characters, or, you know, like, dommy mommies. There's no thing at this point. Like, it's just the two. Okay. Like, sure, we'll go with that. But when I was, you know, playing with her character and, like, reading more, and like, what they give us in the audition is so incredibly bare bones. And it's a combination of, you know, like, NDA stuff, and sometimes they're just looking for an archetype and an actor who can pull off the archetype, but sometimes they also want, you know, to hear the audition and go, that's them, that's the character, you know, we don't want to do any more work on it, this is the audition, this is what we want. But you never know what casting wants. So I never really go in going, this is what they want. I go in and I go, okay, this is what I understand the character to be, I'm going to give them my version of it, and I'm going to try and convince them this is the version that they want. So that's how I do all my auditions. I basically try and gaslight the writers and say, no, this is the character that you told me that you want, so this is what I'm giving you. You know, they gave the lines, and I was like, all right, well, it's literally just sentences, and we have to, you know, play make-believe and put ourselves in those scenarios and how these characters would act. So, you know, they gave us, like, very generic art. It has nothing like what the actual character art is. You know, the names are changed, scenarios are changed, the lines are rewritten, essentially. So I didn't even know it was Fire Emblem when I was reading for it, because, you know, a lot of these games like to keep all of the proprietary information as private as possible, and I don't blame them. So anyway, I'm going through it. I'm like, it's just another audition. I've got a bunch of these in my inbox. Let me just kind of click through and go through them. And I'm like, okay, well, this character sounds very serious. But I was like, you know, there's a little bit of like sadism in how she's acting. So it sounds like like the term that I like using when I'm trying to establish someone who can potentially be an antagonist is, are they here for business or do they like to play with their food? And that's a question I always ask in my session. Like, so I got into my session, kind of like moving into that portion, and I asked the representatives and the writers, or I can't remember exactly what their roles were, but they were representatives for the game, and I was like, so Baldr, is she the kind of character who she shows up, she gets her job done, and she leaves, and she's very proud of it and very self-assured? Or does she play with her food and she likes to take her time because she knows she's good at what she does? We both know that she knows she's good at what she does. But how is she in her execution? Does she like to milk it, or is she like I'm here to do my job and I clock out at the end of the day type of person? And they were like, oh, definitely the first one. And I was like, okay, cool. We're gonna have some fun with this. So there were a couple instances where they were like, nah, what you did for the audition was perfect. And I was like, this is the instance of either I correctly gaslit them into thinking this is the character they want, or for some reason my single brain cell and their single brain cell were connecting that day, and I happened to be in their head and it works out, which happens almost none of the time. So that was pure luck, if that were the situation. I really just kind of referred to a lot of the instinctual decisions that I made in my audition, and I was working with Patrick Seitz, who is an absolute joy and a wonderful director, and we just had a lot of fun with, like, massaging the character and kind of figuring out who she is, because there's only so much information they're able to give us when we are recording really anything for a character in any game, because sometimes the character isn't that developed yet. Sometimes they haven't gotten that far in the story, and you don't know if a character's not going to show up for in any game in particular. If it's a live service game especially, you don't know if they're going to show up for a couple more patches. You don't know if they're going to show up for a couple more years. So sometimes they go in really conservative with the characters, and then we can iron them out later. So I wasn't sure what the situation was with this one. So I was asking a lot of questions, and then Patrick was asking a lot of questions, and we were making a lot of decisions and asking the client, hey, how does this work? And they were like, dial it up a little bit. Or like, like lean back, it's not that serious, or she's not that intense, or have a little more fun with it, she's not that stern, whatever it might be. So it was just a lot of exploratory decisions we were making, and trying to everyone finding out together who this character is given the information that we have. So it was a whole lot of fun. The team was awesome. We had, just Patrick is just such a fun director, and his choice of words and trying to inspire the actors to kind of meet in the middle of what he's looking for, or even meet them where he wants them to meet them, is so much fun. Because at the end of the day, a session really is just, here is what the client wants, here is what the director's understanding of the client is, and here is my interpretation of the interpretation of the director of the interpretation of the client. And we all have to be on the same page. So it's just the director turning all these little dials very slightly, just a little bit at a time, to see if what he's telling me can get me to where I need to be, and then him asking the client, is this where we need to be? And they say yes or no. So I love working for these guys. Nintendo is very thoughtful with their characters and their IPs, and it really shows when their team comes in and they're as passionate as they were in this session. So I really enjoyed creating Baldr with them as the English voice.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I do not wish to see my Discord notifications after you say certain things of this. I see my friends in the chat.
I said what I said.
Yeah,
I said what I said.
You said what I said. You said what you said, and you're right. However, I will not hear the end of this. I apologize for the art that probably is gonna appear in like the next month or so.
Send it my way.
Oh gods, I am not responsible for what happens next. How do you feel voicing a character in a popular series like Fire Emblem or the Hoyoverse games? I wish I knew you just called them miHoYo too. I'm just like, I should be formal and call them Hoyoverse, because miHoYo is like updated term. I just call them miHoYo.
I think technically Hoyoverse is the official way they want it referred to. Mm-hmm. I was introduced to them as a whole when they were just miHoYo, because Genshin Impact was their only public title at the time. Or rather, that's a lie. They had a bunch of stuff before then. Yeah. But they're, like the one that they were most popular for. So I call them miHoYo. I probably shouldn't because I'm so used to calling them miHoYo. But as a client, they are HoYoverse. Yes, you're correct there.
Yes. Okay.
But it's I had mentioned this like in the pre-stream, but like we never know how popular our characters are going to be. And when we audition for these things, we most of the time don't even know what we're auditioning for. So we don't know how popular it's going to be. Sometimes we have an idea, and sometimes we can put 2 and 2 together, especially if you've been acting for a while and you've been seeing auditions for a while for these live service games. You know, you start to notice trends and, you know, how the character descriptions are written or how the emails are formatted or how the file nomenclature is. You're like, oh, wait a second, I've seen this before. And I remember a character releasing for a particular franchise that reminded me of this, so it might be this. But, you know, at the end of the day, I just kind of, I roll in, I do my audition, I send it off. It's like homework. It's not homework, but you know what I mean. It's like, I have to do this. I'm not going to put too much more thought into it than I need to. I trust my instinct. I trust my acting training. So I'm just going to go in, do my job, and leave. And that's what an audition essentially is. So when I'm recording for the characters long before they come out, then we also never know. But for popular series, if the client tells us what it is, because sometimes the client doesn't even tell you what it is until after the game comes out, which has happened to me before, and I'm like, oh, cool, good to know that's what this is. You know, I worked on this like a year ago. I had no idea what it was, and I always try and be polite, and I don't want to, like, you know, tell the client, like, hey, what are we working on today? Because sometimes they just don't want to tell you, and that's okay. You know, that's not my business. Technically, I'm here to record. I'm not here to, you know, prod them with NDA breaking questions, potentially. And sometimes, you know, sometimes I tell you, sometimes I don't. Sometimes they tell you straight up what it is, and they're like, hey, just a heads up, you're working on this like, title. You know, like, you may or may not be familiar with it, and sometimes they give you the rundown with, you are not allowed to say anything until you were allowed to say anything, and I respect that. You know, it's not my job to be putting all this information out there. I'm just the actor. I just show up and I read shit. I show up and I read shit. They're the ones who are, you know, it's their product and they get to go make all the fun announcements, and then I'll go and I'll talk about how grateful I am to be part of it after the fact. So anyway, all that to say, it doesn't feel real until it's real. It's very exciting. It really is just such a great joy to be part of these, you know, large communities. And especially for me personally, because I am such a fan of them. I was a fan of the HoYoverse games before I started booking the HoYoverse games. I was a fan of Fire Emblem before I booked Fire Emblem. You know, and even the ones that even the games that I don't play, I always look into them, and I'm, you know, like, not in the fan base, but I'm like adjacent to them. I'm aware of them. I like being aware of the fan bases that I'm contributing to, just because, you know, as someone who has been part of fandoms, I know how important they are to the series and how important it is to the culture and to the characters and everything. I'm usually not super involved in a lot of fandoms just because, you know, that's not my space, and I know some fans are a little touchy about, you know, like, breaking that fourth wall with actors. You know, for example, my sister's really into certain fandoms, and I'm just like, oh, do you want an autograph? I know the actor. And she goes, no, I don't want to break the fourth wall. Like, I want to keep this character separate from the human who contributes to the character. I'm like, you know what? I respect it. So, yeah, anyway, I love it. It feels really great. I love being parts of these franchises. I'm very grateful that I'm trusted with these characters. I love creating these characters with them, because sometimes, you know, no one knows who the character is until they pick the actor. They've got the lines, they've got the, we know, you know, this character is like this archetype. They do this, they do that, they're this age, they're this height, this is how they interact with people, but you never know how it's all going to come together until the actor's in the booth. The actor doesn't know what's going on. They show up and they only have the information that's provided to them. So we're all just kind of like trying to fit the jigsaw puzzle together, and then when it clicks, you're like, ooh, this is gonna be a good time. You know, it's the best feeling when you all realize together, like, this is who this character is.
That's good. Also, I'm surprised to hear there's people who don't want to break the fourth wall. Like, I feel like I've been like in this space where it's just like we're super like fans of like voice acting. So whenever like we're watching a show, like we were watching like as a group like the a Dragon Ball Super superhero movie, and the instant one character shows up, someone goes, "Is that Zack Aguilar?" I'm just like, "Is it?" Like first time listening to it in English, because I watched it in Spanish first. I'm just like, is it really? I check, it's like, oh, it is. And then like the next character shows up, because Andy is just like, oh wait, so this one voices, like this one shares VA with male Violet, and this one shares VA with female Violet. I'm just like, there's no way I'm checking. Like it paused the movie, check. You're joking. How did you recognize that voice so quickly?
That always shocks me. I'm like, you guys are really good, because I can't even recognize my colleagues' voices. And sometimes I'm listening to a trailer and I'm like, I remember recording that, but I don't know if they re-recorded that with someone else. Is that me? I don't know if that's me. I forgot what I sound like, bro. I show up, I do the thing, I leave. So I'm impressed when people can point out people's voices like that.
Yeah. Next question. How does it feel that two different games have your characters as their icons?
Oh man, it's so funny because I'm aware and I'm like, oh yeah, oh those are my guys, that's so sweet. But but when I think about it, I go, holy shit, oh this is weird. I distinctly remember talking to my husband back in 2023. We went to our first anime expo together, and I had already recorded both Topaz and Anby, both under NDA for both characters. I had been working on Anby for a while, and they had both Star Rail and Zenless booths at Anime Expo, and I was like, great, I can't say shit, but I'm here. I'm here, but I can't say anything. This is very difficult. And I'm just, running around like a kid in a candy shop taking pictures, and I probably look like the world's biggest, dorkiest fan. I'm like so excited. I'm like playing like the Zenless beta back when it was like closed beta 1 and when there were no English voices at all. And I'm just like, oh my god, I can't believe like this is me. I voiced this one. It's so cool. It's not even me yet. It's still the Japanese voice actress, but I'm like geeking out. And I understand. I see these franchises, I see the games, and I go, hell yeah. And I was talking to my husband, and I was like, things are gonna get, like, really weird. And, like, he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, I don't know how these games how popular they're gonna be, And at the time, it was long before I knew I was ever going to book, a Fire Emblem game, Heroes or otherwise, So, here we are, fast forward almost 2 years later, and I'm just like, desensitized is too strong of a word, because I am very appreciative and very grateful and very excited. Like I'm never not excited about it, but I'm still like, damn, oh this is so cool.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because I just again doing my research of it, I'm just like, wait, Anby, I recognize this face. Where have I seen it before? I'm just like checking. It's like Zenless. It's like, wait, is that the one from the icon? Like this like me saying like this question was mine. This is my 2 cents of it. Like it's just like the two like dots connected of like, oh yeah, Baldr is the icon for Faye, and Anby has been the one for what's it called, for Zenless. And that's why I wanted to ask earlier, or like had the thought, it was just like, should I ask what Anby's role is like, because I'm a tourist, I don't know, and then be like, nah. I have a better question.
We're still learning about Anby, honestly. This next major patch that comes out next week has so much of her backstory. I feel like the developers for I don't want to turn this into a Zenless stream, but a lot of the developers and the writers very strategically placed information about a lot of characters in the beginning of the game, story-wise, so that, as they continue to build the story, we learn more and more about these characters together. So they just kind of throw you into the world of all these fully developed characters, and they don't tell you shit about them. But, months later, as their stories are opening up, it's kind of like when you first meet someone for the first time and you don't know anything about them. but you know, you accept them as they are because you're like, one, you have no choice. Two, you know, like this is the person that you know, and then you start learning more about them. Like, oh, I didn't know that you went to this university. Oh, I didn't know you lived in another country. Oh, I didn't know that you served in a war. You know, like I have friends that I just learned were war veterans, and I was like, excuse, not war veterans, like military veterans, and I'm like, oh shit, you were in the military? I didn't know that. You know, so when we're learning more about these characters, it just feels so exciting. So Anby specifically, we're still learning about her, but you know, so far in the story, she hasn't played a major role, but she is like prevalent, and she was like she's like the tutorial character when you first play the game. She's one of the first characters. She's actually, I think, the first character that you meet in the game. So, you know, it's a similar dynamic to March 7th and Honkai Star Rail, who's also the game icon, and we're also still learning about her, you know, 2 years later. So it's a decision that the writers made that I really enjoy. It's just kind of like a scratch-off card where you're only allowed to scratch off a space like every 6 months. Like, you can scratch off one more now. Like, you can learn a little more about her now. So we'll see how Andy's story goes. But yes, you meet her first in the game, and she just kind of sticks around.
I see. Okay, that does answer my question. Because ironically enough, it was the stream you made of like reacting to the trailer and being like, this like in development, I can talk about this and all that. I'm just like, yeah, I'm changing my question, but you know, because I'm curious. Because I don't know much about it, but I'm also like, I can reword this to fit the plot better. But yes,
you're fine.
This one's a long question. It didn't fit, so I have it like written up. So question 8: what helps you seamlessly get into the voices / state of mind of your characters? And what helps you get back into them? Oh, I guess you're going to split into. Sorry.
Yeah. So I will listen to the audition that I booked. Sometimes the client will play it for us in the session. They're like, hey, so welcome, you know, for the first session. And they're like, hey, here's the audition. You know, let's play around from here and see what happens. And then, you know, we kind of, from there, I start asking questions like, you know, to play with their food if they're a villain, or like, hey, so like, what motivates them? You know, why do they do what they do? And if they don't have answers for me, I just start making shit up in my head. You know, like, no, like literally, like if we don't know the answers to these questions, then we start making decisions, because the more specific these characters and their backstories are, whether or not they're true, they, you know, the decisions that you make become more specific too, right? So like, this character is very stoic. Why are they very stoic? Are they stoic because they watched like their mom die when they were a child, or are they really stoic because they used to be really energetic and their teacher told them to stop talking so many times they just stopped talking almost forever, right? Like, we don't know these things. So for me specifically, in my head, I don't like share these details, of course, because I don't like writing headcanons, and I don't like writing over the writer's stuff. But in my head, I have to attribute a reason for these questions that are unanswered, so that the decisions that I make as an actor make more sense and are more believable. So, you know, we don't know why Anby is as stoic as she is. So in my head, I go, okay, why is she the way she is? And I make a decision, and then I make a decision as an actor to try and, you know, make her delivery as natural as possible. And I feel like a lot of actors do something similar. So it's a combination of, I listen to my references. Sometimes we have the original language reference, whether it's Korean, Chinese, Japanese. We'll listen to those as well, so that we kind of get the, we don't listen for the voice print, we listen for the character. So, you know, like, how animated are they? You know, if you listen to like a 30-second, you know, excerpt of them, then you can kind of get an idea of who this character is, even if you don't understand the language. And so we'll use that as a basis, so that at least we're in the same ballpark as what the other languages are. Especially for games that have multiple languages, you know, as many as like 4 or 5, as like, you know, the Hoyoverse games do, for example. But other than that, for particular archetypes, I'll just kind of spitball extremes. For, you know, I'll throw some stereotypes out. You know, like if a character is like a really haughty character, like Baldr is, then I'll go like whole, you know, like Ojo-sama in the session and see how that works. And they're like, okay, dial it down. I'm like, all right, cool, you know, for example. Or if a character is like a really like mousy type, then like, you know, I like to pull on the extremes and see how far I can get, and then the director would be like, no, rein it in, or hey, we can go bigger, you know, so that we can all just kind of like find who this character is together, especially in an exploratory session. But for following sessions, they'll play a voice reference, so we're like, oh, okay, this is who this person is. I forgot, because I voiced so many other characters since then. So sometimes the difference between the first and the second session can be 6 months, it can be a year, and I'm like, damn, I forgot how to ride this bike. Can someone remind me?
I see. Then I guess that covers both questions. How's your day going?
It's going well. I'm a little under the weather today, so I took today mostly off of everything. I was sleeping in until like 4 o'clock my time. I found out yesterday, one of my colleagues, I do some drumline coaching. One of my colleagues had strep, and I was like, oh. I was with them at rehearsal for like 8 hours today. So we'll see if what my husband and I caught is strep or just like allergies or a cold or whatever. But I was feeling pretty shitty earlier, I'm not gonna lie. But then I took a 4-hour nap and now I feel a lot better.
I hope everything goes well for you. That's scary.
Yeah, well, I'll take my vitamin C and we'll just see what happens.
Also, yeah, this is like the kind of questions why I like just surprising people, because like, yeah, we're just talking about like voice acting and suddenly Shadow comes in and it's just like, I have the silliest question. I have a silly. Yeah. What's your favorite piece of media? Like being a movie or a book or a song, like in specific?
So I grew up with a bunch of, I don't want to say, I mean, like, I would say, like, probably cult classic stuff. Well, like, classics and then, like, cult classics and, like, you know, specific classics. So, of course, I'm a child of the Ghibli generation. I want to say one of my favorite movies of all time, of course, Spirited Away. I distinctly remember being, like, I don't know, like, I don't even know how old I was when that movie came out. Just going to the 99-cent Tuesday rental VHS store with my mom and picking up Spirited Away for the 10th time and watching it on repeat. My mom's like, can you please pick another movie? And I'm like, no. Like, absolutely not. I'm not picking another movie. We're going to watch Spirited Away again, and you're going to like it. You know? And I grew up on JRPG games, so my favorite games growing up, of course, were, like, Grandia and Legend of Mana, and to this day, they're still some of my favorites. I'm a huge sucker for nostalgia, if you haven't noticed. But recently, I think my favorite Western movie, I love horror movies. I'm a huge sucker for horror movies. To be a torn between Barbarian, which is a true horror movie in my opinion, and The Menu, which is a dark comedy thriller. Not horror, but it's so good. I watched it for I don't like rewatching movies at all. I don't like rewatching movies because I already know what happens. I'm gonna sit there and be thinking about. I'm really annoying when I watch movies, and I like to know what happens next. So I'll talk to whoever I'm watching the movie with, like, oh my god, watch, this is gonna happen. Like, oh, I wonder why that is. You know, like, I don't know if you've seen the movie Shutter Island, but I guessed the entire plot in the ending of Shutter Island in, like, the first 10 minutes of the movie, because I'm so irritating and I want to know what's happening. I'm like, oh, I'm willing to bet this is the plot of Shutter Island. Like, this is what's happening. And the ending rolled around and I was like, called it. I told you. I told you. And they're just like, you were such a sore winner. Can you shut up when you watch a movie? And I'm like, no. Pick someone else to watch a movie with. Like, you picked me, sorry. So I don't like rewatching movies because I already know, you know, the fun's taken out of it for me. So I've watched The Menu 4 times now. I watched it with my sister the other day because I wanted to show it to her so badly, and I still really, really enjoy it on the 4th time. So that is one of the very few movies I can rewatch, and every time I'm like, yes, it doesn't get old.
Well, now I know next movie night I'm forcing everyone in my friend group to watch Spirited Away. It's big, I promise. No, I did start because like none of them had watched like Ghibli movies. Like we started watching like A House Moving Castle, and they were just like, this is my first Ghibli movie. Just like, I have a whole library for you. You don't know what's coming.
Good.
But yeah, Spirited was so
You're a
good.
good friend.
Thank you, thank you. I like to get that. Yeah. What's your all-time favorite character from Fire Emblem?
I love Hilda. I love Hilda from Three Houses. I am such a sucker for small girl, big weapon. I think it's the funniest trope. It's my favorite trope. I'm like, damn, girl, you got, like, guns. Like, that's impressive. And I think of the physics. I'm like, well, if you're holding a giant hammer or a mallet or an axe and it's really heavy on one side but not on the other, I'm like, how do you hold it straight? You got, like, all these crazy wrist muscles trying to hold it so the blade doesn't, like slide back. I don't understand. Like, I played tennis briefly in high school, and once I sprained my wrist because my racket was too heavy. And I'm like, damn, how are y'all not snapping your wrists in half holding these massive weapons when I've sprained my wrist holding a tennis racket that was, like, a couple ounces too heavy? I don't understand. I think it's the funniest thing. It also doesn't help that I'm also on the shorter side. I'm 5'2", so I just think it's really funny thinking of, like, if I were to hold a very large weapon, I'm like, that's so funny. So, like, small girl, big personality, big weapon, like, instant, I love her. Like, there's that one, oh my goodness, what's her name? The one pink Pokemon, her third evolution has the big pink, oh my god, I love her so much!
I was going to bring that up, like, later too.
Her.
Oh my god, Tinkaton.
Oh my god, she was in my party the entire playthrough. I'm a fake Pokemon fan. That's a lie. I'm a huge Pokemon fan, but I'm really bad at names. So if I don't play the game for a while, my brain just kind of like Control-Alt-Deletes all the short-term memory, and I have to remind myself of how everything is. But oh my god, I love her so much.
No, it's fine. It's fine. That's great. Oh my god, we're bringing back the Hilda and Tinkaton memes.
I love her.
Yes. Which was your first Fire Emblem game?
Three Houses, actually. That was a very slippery slope. I started playing Three Houses during the it was, I think, a little after the pandemic had started. I had just gotten laid off my day job, and I used to work in the hospitality industry. I studied hospitality. I got a bachelor in business and studied hospitality management. I'd worked hospitality since I was a teenager, and I was like, this is the path I've chosen to go on because this is what I'm best at. I love people. I love talking to people. I'm really good with people, and like I love like creating experiences. And you know, to me, it's just another day of work, but to them, it could be the biggest day of their lives. It could be a wedding. It could be a birthday party. It could be like a milestone work event. It could, you know, it could be anything. So I was an event planner for a long time, and I got laid off because the pandemic happened and no one was, you know, hosting in-person events anymore. But I went from being the most overworked person in my friend group to being unemployed entirely. Yeah. This is before I started voice acting too, because I was like, you know, I just hadn't gotten to that point yet. I started acting later that year. But I was like, I'm gonna put all of my time and energy into the few Switch games that I have. So I put like 600 hours into Animal Crossing like everyone else did. And then I put like 500 hours into Fire Emblem Three Houses over the course of like 6 months. I played every route twice. I played it once for the lore, and then I played it once on Maddening because I absolutely love tactical games and just strategic games in general. I was planning out all my runs on spreadsheets. I was like, I am recruiting this unit on this chapter at this time. We are going down like this like promotion route. I'm gonna throw Lysithia into heavy armor very briefly so we can get her defense to 12 so she doesn't get one shot all the time, and then I'm gonna put her right back into a magic class. Like I got really into it. And then once I had played Three Houses to death, I had this deep void in my heart, and I was like, I need more. I need more of this game. And then during the pandemic, I literally called my local GameStop because I dug up my old DS, and I was like, do you have Fire Emblem Awakening? And they were like, we do. And I literally purchased it like through the half-closed door because they weren't allowing people in the store. And I was like, here's my credit card. And they like slipped the game through the crack in the door for me, and it was like a very shady, you know, exchange. I went home and I played that game to death, and then I bought, you know, Shadows of Valentia, and I played that game to death, and then I got I got 2 of the Fates games. I didn't get the golden ending Fates game. I was not interested in that. I need people to suffer. I'm sorry. War is disgusting. War is nasty. I just think it just is very unrealistic for there to be a golden ending, unfortunately, as bad as that sounds. I was like, nah, bro. Like I need the hurt. It's not a good Fire Emblem game unless it rips my heart out.
Yeah.
So I've played a handful of them, and I started on the older ones, but then I either just like, you know, put it down one day and just never picked it up again because I forgot or got busy, or I just, you know, was like, oh, this is gonna take a minute to get used to, and then I just like didn't get used to it. But I do want to go back to the older ones again. I had started Thrashia 776.
Oh my god, you don't know how happy you made so many here. Also, Thracia was my first game. Like mostly out of me being an idiot and not understanding English. But yes, oh, that's so cool.
I love a good challenge. So I played, I think, the first couple maps, not realizing it was like all the same map. I was like, damn, why is this map so big? It was great. And then, you know, I just like never picked it up again. I need to get around to it. But one day I'll go back to playing all of them because I love the franchise so much. And yeah, I do need to play the GameCube games. The name is escaping me because I'm really bad at names.
Sorry, which one?
Oh my goodness. The GameCube games, Ike's in it.
Path of Radiance.
Yes, I need to play those too. So bad. Oh my god. It's been on my list for literally forever, and I'm like, I am going to play this game.
Yes, it's
and 5 years later, I have not yet played this game. So
no, please give it a chance. I swear.
I want to. It's one of those like, I'll put it on my backlog, and then the backlog just continues to get longer. So it's not a matter of I don't want to play it. It's a matter of I'm a filthy liar, and I keep saying I'm going to, and then I don't.
No. Threading a lot back. I assumed you were like quite amused at the fact that both Baldr and Violet got like second place in CYL. You're just like, oh, he's the guy. He's the guy that I started with. Ha!
I literally,
hi,
honestly, I was like, wasn't Violet already a CYL winner? I was like, why is he here? And then I forgot male Violet just isn't as popular as male Violet. So I was like, okay, never mind. This makes sense. Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. Yeah, chat going like my friends on Discord also just like saying like, oh, she plays Thracia. It's just like we really love Baldr, so it's like the fact that there's like play that and there's like a couple of friends that like really like it. It's like, oh boy.
Oh, my problem with the modern games, unfortunately, and one reason why I think I had a hard time sticking to the older games and the originals, is that we were fucking spoiled with the rewind system and being able to undo your poor decisions, and on especially like you know, DS, either the four finger salute, the shit, all right, hold on, let me reload my last save, like, you know, I'm gonna go back and because I can't lose this unit type thing. I just need to accept when someone dies and move on, and I think I'm going to enjoy the game a lot more when that happens, because I won't be thinking as much. But then it's also like, oh, but the character, I love lore. Oh, I don't want to lose them. Oh, I love, you know what I mean? And then I get frustrated and I go, no, I'm not playing this game if I can't keep so-and-so, and then I don't pick it up again. I just need to accept their fate.
Yeah, Baldr literally just saying keep good. Also adding, friend asks, who's your favorite from Thracia?
I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't remember them. It's been 5 years almost. It's been a minute, I'm sorry.
Can you describe the archetype?
Great question. I think you're overestimating my memory. Hold on a second. Let me just Google them really quick so I can remember at least who even was in this game. It has been I kid you not, it has been Listen, if I can't remember lines that I read last week, I'm not gonna remember characters I played 4 to 5 years ago. I remember Evil, and Tanya. I remember those two, and I was like, oh, they're cute.
Oh yeah, we love Tanya.
Yeah, I think those are like the only two that I like legitimately remember, because I'm a girl's girl. I love playing as other girlies in my games, and I send them lots of love, so I do pay it. I'm stubborn. I love playing as all the females in my games because I love strong female archetypes. And for example, I'm playing through Civ 6 right now, and I'm only playing female leaders because I'm like, yeah, female leaders, let's go! So those are the only characters I remember. I'm so sorry. But I'll give a proper answer once I actually play. It's just been so long.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But yeah, next question. What's your favorite Fire Emblem moment and soundtrack?
I want to say the soundtrack has got to be... God, this is gonna sound really corny because there are lots of answers to that question depending on whatever it might be, but I have a very nostalgic attachment to the what is it called, the preparation screen music for what is it called, part 1 of Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, I just have so much nostalgia. Whenever I hear that, my heart just kind of like flutters and I go, oh, good time. Good times.
Yeah.
I definitely have other answers to that question, but I'm gonna go with that one because that one just makes me so happy whenever I hear it in passing. Just like my head snaps and I go, wait, I know this one.
Yeah.
My favorite moment? Ooh. It's been so long since I've played any of the mainline games. I'm not gonna lie, I'm awful. You know, I keep thinking of Three Houses because it's the one that I've played the most, and I hate defaulting to it, but it's the one that unfortunately has been stored in my long-term memory. There were some moments in Shadows of Valentia that I remember that I really, really liked, that really like pulled at my heartstrings, but it's been so long since I've played the game, I literally cannot remember the plot point. You know, when you're trying to remember a game that you played years ago and you're like, shit,
Yeah.
I don't remember that game. It's one of those moments. It doesn't mean that I didn't like it or that it didn't mean a lot to me. I just genuinely don't remember it. I do remember the first route I played in Three Houses was Claude's route because I thought he was cute, and I like the color yellow. Also, I like Hilda. So I was like, perfect. This is a great first route, and my answer has been committed. We're doing this one. Seeing the Flame Emperor twist from like the third person point of view of guy in the background watching it all happen was insane. I think like that has been stored in my long-term memory permanently. Like I kind of wish I had played that from someone else's point, from like Dimitri's point of view. I think it would have been more impactful. But playing it from Claude's was like, what the fuck? We just kind of showed up. What is all of this? This is insane. Excuse me? It was just so good. It's so good. Also, one of my favorite moments playing in-game was probably Chapter 4 when you're going and trying to like, you know, like fuck up Sylvain's brother in the tower and you're playing on maddening mode and there's that awful funnel where everyone just starts coming at you. Because, you know, the map is in the shape of like not like a G, but it's kind of like an incomplete circle and you start like down here and you have to go like kind of all the way around like this. I guess it is kind of like a G. And so you have to like kind of come out this way and then up and around, and then by like turn like 5 reinforcements show up out of nowhere on this side and you're like, ah, and you have to start like going backwards because now everyone's coming at you and now there are like 4 squares between wall and wall and they're all starting to try to like file in and you got to pack it in. That was the moment I was like, oh shit, gambits are really important, aren't they?
Yeah.
So that was a pivotal moment in my understanding of how to actually play Three Houses properly. Was map 4 on maddening mode. The first time I played maddening, that was awful. I was like, this is terrible. This map took me like 2.5 hours just to kind of sweep through. It was really bad. I was so frustrated, but it was really funny looking back.
Yeah. What are your hobbies outside of voice acting?
I love plants. I'm a plant lady. I collect plants. I've been a little slacking on them lately. I've just been so busy. I've been traveling a lot, and I love my husband, but I don't trust him to take my plants. He'll forget. So I've lost a few of them. But I have a beautiful philodendron pink princess because she's pink and I love pink. And I have a monstera that was a like a child of a big monstera. My first actual plant that I purchased for myself and said, I'm a plant lady now. I got from Home Depot. or maybe it was Lowe's, I don't remember. I got it from a hardware store, and I was like, you're mine, I'm a plant lady now. And that plant ended up dying, but I had propagated this little runt at the bottom of the plant. It was like Easter weekend of like 2022, I want to say. We had like just moved into our new house. My mother-in-law was in town, and I was like, I'm gonna propagate this little guy. And to this day, he's still like in my kitchen. He's gotten really big. He's beat all odds. It's had root rot not once, but twice. Well, it had root rot once and stem rot once. And I was like, damn, this plant is not going to make it through the winter. And I'm literally in like Monstera plant Facebook groups. And I was like, help, what do I do? And they were like, pray.
Oh, no.
To quote Frederick, you pick a god and you pray.
Oh,
good luck. Your plant is not going to make it through the winter. And then she made it through the winter. So I was like, aha, god, aha, fuck you guys. She made it through the winter.
She's a good friend.
So that was great. But I love plants. I mentioned earlier I coach a high school competitive drumline with my husband. So we met when we were in college drumline, actually. And I studied percussion in college as a minor. So I love performing. I technically started voice acting particularly because the local community bands and orchestras were closed because of the pandemic. And I could do voice acting remote from home. So if it weren't for the pandemic, and if it were, just another instance if I need something to do, then I would have gone and started doing instrumental stuff again. So crazy how the world works. But those are my two hobbies outside of work.
Oh, that's nice. I love plants too.
I love plants.
Literally, like my summoner character, like his whole thing is like he can make plants. Like,
I love it. Fun fact, I cannot keep a pothos alive. People say pothos are the easiest plants to keep. I think they're fucking liars. My pothos keep dying no matter what I do. I water them, I take care of them, I give them light, I hang them. I'm like, here you go, stay alive. And they go, no, sorry, Sam, we will not stay alive. And then they all die. I don't know how it keeps happening. I keep killing the plant that is apparently the easiest one to keep. I keep killing. I don't know. But the other ones are fine. The other ones are alive, but that one's dead. So.
The other one survives the winter when it shouldn't.
Yeah, for real. The one that should have been... It's like literally the meme of the dude laying in the hotel bed, and he's like this. And he's like texting his friend, he goes, I lived, bitch. That's my Monstera plant. That's literally my Monstera plant. Meanwhile, the pothos goes, oh, you gave me tap water instead of filtered water. Guess I'll die. So, yeah. I gave up on getting pothos.
That's fine. What do you feel about the current egg prices?
As an egg fan, I am not happy. We've dialed back on our eggs. We usually have like a big like 24 count egg holder in our refrigerator, and it is currently down to like the last couple of eggs. Oh. And I'm like, I don't want to buy more eggs. That's too expensive for me. So it's unfortunate. We're just gonna have to not use eggs for a while, or like really ration out our eggs. I'm a 3-egg omelet girly too, so this is really hard.
No, I've been from all my friends talking about eggs, like complaining about eggs actually all the time, and it just me not relating. Then I open Instagram and I see memes about the egg prices going wild. I'm just like, what is going on?
Yeah, over $1 an egg. Come on, guys. Over $1 an egg? Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm just like I went groceries when they were like talking about it. I'm just like checking the egg prices. I'm just like, they're like a dozen eggs for like €2 here. What is going on?
Oh, America could never. Even before the egg shortage, America could never.
Oh no. No, it's okay. I'll share some of my eggs with you, and also. Leads to the next question. What's your favorite type of eggs? That's in
sunny side up with a little bit of salt and pepper. On a piece of toast.
Oh, let's go! That was my bet.
I love sunny eggs.
Yes.
I love them runny.
Oh my god, yeah, I love them runny too. My grandma used to make them like that.
They're so good. But I as I got older, I was like, man, I need to watch my cholesterol. So I've had to start like boiling my eggs and eating them hard boiled, like a good grown up, trying to be healthy. So I've been trying to. I literally have tiny egg pans like this big specifically for sunny side up eggs. I have like 3 of them, and I love making them. My my in college, my party trick was once we've all enjoyed enough adult beverages and I'm at someone's house, I go, y'all want eggs? And I'll start making fried eggs for people. That's happened a couple times. I really like eggs, so this egg shortage is a real. It's hurt me quite personally, actually.
No, I love eggs. Chat asks if you like Kuromi or My Melody from Hello Kitty, Sanrio.
Oh, I'm awful. I grew up on Hello Kitty on such a surface level. I like barely know who the other characters are. I can point them out in a store because the merchandising is so heavy. I just don't know anything more about them aside from what they look like, unfortunately. Cinema Roll's fucking adorable.
Yeah.
I know who Kurumi is, but I don't know like anything else about Hello Kitty besides the kitty and those other two characters, unfortunately.
Oh, it's fine. Do you have a dream franchise you like to voice in?
Oh my god, if Grandia 1 ever gets a remake, please let me read for Fina or Sue. Please, please, please. I literally have a character in Ayuden Chronicles at 100 Heroes that I literally, my inspiration for that character was Sue from Grandia. I was learning about the character and I was like, okay, so like little sister of the protagonist, high energy, big adventurer, you know, she's just all over the place. Okay, I'm sorry if you hear my dog.
No,
I'm like,
fine.
okay, great. She's a little shit. Perfect. She's Sue. She's literally Sue from Grandia. She's a little shit. She's great. I'm like, okay, perfect. And just kind of like Control-C, Control-V that personality type. Well, the archetype rather. The character is different, but I took a lot of inspiration from that character. So, if Grandia ever gets a remake, please, I'm putting this out in the universe. I don't like putting out into the universe franchises and auditions and stuff because I'm happy to be here and I'm happy to do my job, you know, no matter what it is. But if there's the one franchise I get to decide, this is one I want to audition for, I'll be happy just to be in the room because I've crossed off a couple of those already that I want to just be in the room and just audition for it franchises. I've had a couple of those. If there's one that I'm like, I want to be in the room and I want to be in the damn booth for this, please, in any sort of way, Grandia 1 remake, please. Oh my god, it's going to be so good.
Yeah, fingers crossed for you. I've never heard of Grandia, or I don't think I do. Maybe when I'm doing the video, I'll look it up, just like, oh, it's that one.
It's a classic PlayStation 1 JRPG. It's on 2 discs. It's like early Final Fantasy era games, like late, I think like 1998. But it came out between 98 and 2000. I don't remember the year exactly, but it was one of my first PlayStation games ever. It was a hand-me-down from my cousin, and it resonated so much with me about like adventure and coming of age, and like I love the character art. It was like early anime style, like pixelated, but like, you know, like full anime art. And the characters are just to die for. They're so lovable, and it was fully voice acted for like a late 90s game. I was like, yes, let's go. So yeah, I've replayed that game several times as an adult as well. So that game means a lot to me. So I just want to audition for it. I'll be very happy. If I book it, I could retire right then and there probably. Not really, because I need to pay my bills. Yeah. But goals wise, I will just be so fulfilled.
No, that's good. That's good. Praying for a remake of a game I've never heard of.
And it's like almost 25 years out. I never ask, I never wish for, you know, original actors to be recast, but I know for a lot of reasons, sometimes actors aren't able to reprise their roles. So that's not me saying, oh my god, I hope they recast these actors. It's me saying, you know, like, in the event the actors aren't able to reprise their roles, I want to be in the room, please.
Yeah. Character-wise, who's your favorite between Baldr, Topaz, and Anby?
Oh, they're all so different, and I love them all so very much in so many different ways. I want to say Anby is my favorite, just because she's the most fun to play, because she's the most challenging for me to play. Just, you know, the box that I'm allowed to act within is so small with her compared to the others, and I have a lot more wiggle room with the other guys. But with Anby, I have to make very intentional decisions, and my playground is very small, and it's a very fun challenge for me.
Then I'm glad I got to draw like the Anby for the surprise here.
Yeah, so this all the new updates and everything coming up with her is very, very, very exciting for me.
what if Baldr was to purchase fast food and disguise her as her own cooking?
If she were to decide as her own cooking, I don't think she would do fast food, because I can see Baldr being like, not a gaslighter, but so confident in her lies that she has no, like, there's no faltering in believing her. She would be that person to come to a cookout and be like, look at all these baked goods that I brought for you. And they're like, wow, why does this one have an expiration tag? Because I am so thorough in what I do that I consider the expiration. Is there a problem with that? Like, that is what I would see her doing, personally.
Okay. That's funny too, but I was just like thinking of like continuing the line. Of course, it's just like the steamed hams like reference are just going to be like delightfully devilish Slade.
Oh, sorry if I didn't get the reference.
No, it's fine. It's a dumb me. But that's like actually a very great answer for Baldr. Yes. What's your favorite kind of burger?
Everything except for pickles and bacon. I can't eat pork. I get really sick when I eat pork. But I love everything on a burger. Although I'm very particular with my tomatoes. If a tomato is in the burger, it's fine. It can stay. The second it starts to come out of the burger, the whole tomato comes out. I'm not wrestling with my tomato to push you back in, and I'm not gonna get a mouthful of tomato. Either you stay in the burger or you come out of the burger. There's no in between. Same thing with massive pieces of lettuce. If I go to like Burger King and they give me a burger and the lettuce is like this thick and I bite into it and it's like the burger to lettuce ratio is insane, like, nah bro, I'm taking that whole, I don't need a lettuce cube in here, I'm just taking the whole thing out. But otherwise, I want all of it. I want every single topping.
Nice. Would you put an egg on a burger?
Yeah!
Oh, let's go!
I've done it before! Yeah, give me a runny egg on a burger, man. Make that shit messy. I want to have to, like, wash my hands and take a shower after I eat a burger, man. Yeah, let's do it. Give me a messy burger. Let's go.
Generally, one like for one season, I went to Ohio to live with a cousin, and he took me to Red Robin's, I think, to try an egg burger, and I was just like, my life changed ever since then.
Red Robin's got the good burgers.
Yeah.
They're a little overrated, but they're good.
Yes. How was your birthday like? You know, also with all this presents and stuff.
Oh my gosh, I loved all the fan art. I did not expect any of that. It was so very sweet. It was just like scrolling through and just seeing all of the love. I really appreciate it. Birthdays are just another day for me. I just clear my calendar and I go to a Korean spa, that's all. That's like the one thing that makes it different for me. So I just, all the love I was getting from friends and family and fans meant a lot. I really appreciated it. And I loved all the fan art. I saved all of it to my phone and I was, sending it to my sister, like, can you believe how talented people are? And she's like, can you believe people are drawing this for you? And I'm like, yeah, oh my God. I just, thank you for thinking of me, guys. It means a lot. Aww. But every year I go to a Korean spa and I go and I get like a full body massage or a facial. And I just kind of like take the day and I do nothing. And they just opened this awesome Korean bakery next to the spa. So I went to the spa for a couple hours. Then I went to the bakery and I got myself a little like donut cake and I was like, such a good day. And then I went home and took a nap. It was great.
Yeah. No, I'm glad. That's again, like we're all very excited to be able to do something nice for your birthday, and of course, like glad to hear that you're just feeling appreciated on your own place, of course.
It means a lot. It really, really does. We never expect anything out of the work that we do, so whenever we feel the love from the community, it really, really does mean a lot.
Mm-hmm. Also, you told me you have to leave soon because you also have like your own stream and stuff. And
yeah, I was planning on streaming tonight. I can take a couple more questions. If I'm a couple minutes over 8, that's totally fine. But
yeah, if it's okay, like I will like to ask like the next question as the last. I hope that it's. Like, if you notice, I changed a little bit from the email that I changed because some were out of place because I literally didn't have them when I sent the first email.
No
But
worries.
just this next one is like the big important one. Everyone's like looking forward to, and at least if this is like the last one, it's fine. And then we'll figure out how we do the next ones.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, can you do the Ojo-sama laugh?
I can certainly try. Oh! If that's close enough. I don't think it's big enough, but I'm one of those annoying people where if I'm not in the booth and my like acting switch isn't on, then I'm just another guy.
No, it's fine. No, I was actually dreading this question, like in the odd chance that you didn't know what it was. I'm just like, how do I explain? Do I have to perform an Ojo-sama laugh myself? But I'm
I'm a
glad.
woman of culture. I know what it is.
Good. Chat. Let's go. But yeah, that leaves 8 more questions that will be left
I
unanswered.
can answer those for you in chat if you would like, and you can send it over to your server.
Yeah. Could do that.
Okay.
Then I'll see what I figure out for the video, whatever I do with this.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you so much, like really, for being with us here and just like having some fun and just be silly and stuff. Like it really means a lot to a lot of people here. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for the invite. This was so much fun. I love interviews. I love just chatting and talking about what I love doing. So it means a lot. Thank you. And
Yeah.
thank you to the whole community. You all have been so sweet and so kind. And it's really fun being on the other side of the glass.
Yes. And we're glad to have you here, of course, and of course as well, like being able to show like our appreciation with like fan art, with questions, with like helping out in what we can. Like this, this just starts with me just being like, I would like to do something. Like this all started because I made a joke frame on a completely different video, like for the birthday of like Lily Emil, who voices Ash. I made a frame where it shows like a list of things to do, because like they say it's like, oh, we could play like Marvel Rivals on there, just like adding it like play Marvel Rivals with Ash's VA, just like a billboard thing. And I just put like on the side, just like as a joke, like list of like voice actors to interview, and put like Sam Slade with an exclamation point. And then like immediately after that, I posted it, and my friends are just like, you have to do it, you have to, after CYL, you have to do it, you like send that email, you know you want to. And I did it, and it was I was dying seeing like so much has happened with the Fire Emblem community, and like she's probably like just sick of seeing something like dumb on her on her inbox and stuff, and just gonna be like, hey, is it okay?
Not at all. I'm so glad you reached out. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm glad too, because yeah, it starts with me just like mustering up the courage of being like, like twiddling my thumbs, just like, can I ask you a few questions?
I tell voice actors this all the time. Send the damn email. Don't be the person to tell yourself no. Let someone else tell you no. Or let someone else not reply to your email. Don't be the one to tell yourself, no, I'm not going to do it. That's not what you're here for. You're here to do the thing, and someone else will give you the answer. Send the damn email.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I'm glad as well. Everyone here is like really glad, because like even just on the lead up to this, we turned like a couple of people who like were like so about Baldr. So it's like, yeah, she's new, she's pretty, she's kind of cool, and then she was just like, yeah, we turned them into like actual like now hardcore Baldr fans. Like they're here being like, yeah. One of them is like a Thracia fan. It's just like commissions like Leif and Marita, and he's just like, now he's just like spamming me. It's like, we need to do this with Baldr now. We did this other Baldr thing, Baldr ideas now, and this and that. I'm just like, yeah, the Baldr like pipeline.
Truly. Well, thank you all again. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, or for you, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful 2 o'clock in the morning. Please get some sleep.
I will try. Thank you again for joining us, and I hope you also have a lot of fun with your stream. I might hop in after like making something else to eat, because I'm also hungry, admittedly.
Sure thing. I need to save for Anby coming out next week, so I'm just gonna be on my polychrome grind.
Good luck.
Thank
so
you.
much.
All right, thanks everyone.
Yes,
Take care.